It's hump. Ooh, wow. That allergy cough is getting me. It's hump day. Happy Wednesday. Happy last 12 minutes of Wednesday. Welcome to another Sci-Fi Center overnighter. We got to be closing in on 70 consecutive broadcast nights. Welcome everybody. Difference between once again a semi overnighter and just a midnight express, which we have not done in quite a while. Is usually I try to add a topic on a non current event type of topic. Because to be honest with you, the current events are just kind of annoying me, especially when it comes to our pop culture world. So tonight, our topic is going to be zombies and undead movies. We've covered fantasy. We've covered. I don't think we've covered slasher yet, but we've covered alien invasion movies. I forgot what we covered, but I knew we hadn't covered zombies, and zombies, makes up for a big part of the genre that I'm in. So hey, um, we're going to cover zombies tonight for a little bit, but we will cover current events. But I think we've already covered everything that's gone on in the last 48 hours. I don't care whatsoever about the guy who got fired from X-Men '97. We're not going to cover that because I just don't care. I didn't care about the show, anything associated with it, so it's just not something I'm going to really dwell on. And we already covered the Batman being delayed until the year 5000, so don't need to cover that one. But yeah, please like and subscribe while you're here. And on that note, for those of you who were tuning in last night, you knew that we were on the verge of something which for this channel is very special because my little basically Yugo, version of a channel or Pinto of a channel did something that I didn't think I was going to do this quickly. And that is reach 50,000 views just after we went off the air last night, which is exactly when I thought it would happen because that's the way YouTube calculates everything as generally after the stream is. We entered last night at about 49,970 something, so we only needed like 27 views, and I knew we had that like right at the beginning of the show, so it was a matter of YouTube updating it, and just after we went off the air, we were actually at 50,200 views so far. So I don't know what we get for that. I know that at some point, I think it's 1 million views or something like that, or some kind of crazy number. You get like that little plaque, but like I said, we're about 30 years away from that. But so thank you to everybody who has contributed to that, whether you were a host at one time, whether you were a mod, or whether you were just a viewer from wherever. Both the people who watch live and the people who watch, like I said, the vast majority of you who watch the show on a replay. So there we have it, 50,000 views. Like I said, it just seems like, a week ago we were at 40,000. And so we're averaging, it looks like we're averaging, about 1,500 views to 2,000 views a week in order to get to where we were from where we were at. That's what I'm thinking of. So there's my math. And once again, thanks for everybody who made that happen. Let's go ahead and say hi to the chat. Brad should be here. Last night he just slept in. Hello, my favorite Aussie. Jeez, this silly Bane madness again. Yeah, Big Mrs. was pretty cool. They opened up the show with her. I mean, they just had her come out, and it's kind of like they did with CM Punk. So she came right out. She goes by CEO now, which I think is kind of cool. She looks great. She put her right in the program with Willow Nightingale. She'll probably wrestle her, and then Julia Hart and Sky Blue came out to screw with her, so that puts her right in the title picture, which I'm happy to see. That's one of the reasons why I don't like seeing people go necessarily automatically to WWE. I know she wouldn't have ended up in NXT, but I don't know if they would have put her at the top of the card necessarily, even though she had been there. People are always asking me, "Wow, Okada, he's never going to make it big until he goes to the E." I'm like, why? So they can screw him like they did in Samoa Joe and put a world championship on a global level, a world champion on a global level like Samoa Joe is. You put him in NXT and he gets injured half the time. So yeah, I was happy to see her there. Clinton and his duck, my favorite serial killer. Good evening, Brad. Everybody. Yeah, Brad's not here yet. I know he wasn't feeling all that great, but he said he would be here today, so who knows. Listening to the car, yeah, she's got her victim in the back seat. Clinton Huntley, with he running around local areas. Yep, exactly what I thought. What's going on, Spidey? I'm still not getting down with the TRA thing. If you would like to support the show, other than just watching, You can always use the streamlabs.com sci-fi center tip. Next week, we are going to actually name those, like, name what the name of our chat is going to be. So that's what I want to do, because I'm tired of just calling them donations or super chats, and they're not super chats. Even when we get monetized, which we are just under 100 away from actually being able to set up super chats, I might still use the Streamlabs function because YouTube takes everything. So, yes, we're going to be talking zombie movies here as soon as I say hi to all you guys. What's going on, Fourth? How you doing? Hello, Ray, Glimmering Harpy. Zombie show, Ruthie. It's not murder if they're already dead. That's hilarious. All right. Brad is should be on his way. Let's see. Yup, right in the thumbnail. I put a couple in the thumbnail. I got Fulci's Zombie. I have obviously the what at one time for decades was the gold standard for zombie movies. Obviously, Night of the Living Dead, one of the very first ones ever made. Fun. So got the guy so nice to name twice. Let's see. Hello, zombie scoopers. No, I don't do too much of this scooping nonsense here. Let's see. George Romero's fandom of the dead. He made a lot, and ironically, he didn't make a lot of money off of Night of the Living Dead. He made money subsequently off of other ones that rode off of that glory. Not the Cranberry song, although that does come to mind. Hello, Daniel. What's going on? Impossibly bad. Yeah, he generally pops in right about now, but like I said, he doesn't need to invite because he's already part of the show. No, I have not. I have not seen it. I haven't been on Twitter all day. This was actually one of those days where I just wasn't on Twitter. Because I just didn't have anything going on where I needed to send people messages or anything, and that's generally the only reason why I'm on Twitter. So if it's on Twitter, I have not seen it. I don't know. He should be here. We'll give it a couple minutes. Isn't Samoa Joe voicing anime? I don't know. I know he was in that metal thing where he played the one, the one guy. Doing shorts on the mobile is so fun. Question: Frankenstein creation considered a zombie? Wow, that's a good question. I mean, technically, well, no, because he's been assembled. I think a zombie would be if the body that was intact, like if you were killed or something dies and then it is reanimated, because resurrection, you're not a zombie. Then I think he would be just an animated a construct. I'm not sure. Never really had. That's a good question. Where's Rorik? All right. Fourth, get your Patera earrings on until William. Let's see what we got. Oh, Lord. Okay, so like I said, nothing really much went on today that we didn't discuss already. Discussed the Batman thing. We discussed wrestling. I am going to be doing a special at live at Pooh Blood and Honey in a couple of weeks. I got Ghostbusters tickets to give away this week too. Nothing really big happening. So load up your zombie movies, because I'll start. Like I said, of all the zombie movies that are out there, I like I said, I usually go back to the Romero ones that are pretty cool. Obviously, we have Army of the Dead. We got 28 Days Later, Warm Bodies. zombie itself. For a while though, it was almost like it was a played out genre. And then like the mid 2000s, there was just a whole bunch of them. But like I said, out of all the genres out there, zombies might be, even though it's up there for me. There's some really classics. It might be the one that I have the least amount of favorites in. Like there's obviously Night of the Living Dead, Return of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead. Obviously, that's a big one. One of my favorite ones is Dead Snow. Dead Snow is a really, 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 really good movie. Dead Snow is too. That's a little bit cheesier, but Dead Snow is more like The Fog. It's Nazis, dead Nazis looking for their gold that they stole. But and people, the people that are at the ski lodge are trying to figure out why these zombies are after them, and it's because they've come across gold that the zombies stole. The Nazis stole while they were alive, and now they're magically tied to it. So let's bring up those ones. Yeah, Dead Snow is one of my favorite ones, and I love when they do movies like this. When there's a lot of blood in Dead Snow, a lot of decapitations, a lot of zombies eating things. I love zombie movies or monster movies in general, vampire movies that are on snow, because it just highlights that blow. Not blood. There's the foreign poster of it. It's a foreign movie. I remember this was one of the first movies I got the license to screen back in 2009. And there's some of the movie posters. And there's Dead Snow 2, so I consider that one. Dead Snow Red Dead. It's a soccer team that's trying to escape. And there's a very fashionable use of a swastika. But it's appropriate because they are zombies. And they are Nazis. What are some of your guys' favorite ones to me? Let's see. All right, let's see. Oops. Spidey and William, I would personally say yes because they're human parts reanimated, although not from the same source. See, and it always comes down to what's the definition of a zombie, too. Like, obviously, we have Easter coming up, and one of my pet peeves is Happy Zombie Jesus Day. Whenever I see that on my timeline, I'm like, what are you talking about? Stop that. That is so annoying. Who was risen from the dead? Okay. And we're not going to get too religious because everybody's got their different. But if you obviously know the scripture, he was resurrected. Resurrected means restored to life. Not undead, not a zombie, restored to life, which means he was no longer dead. So he is no longer just an animated corpse. A zombie is an animated corpse. That's why I don't know if I would put Frankenstein in there, because he's an assembled. He's assembled and given life. So I mean, but you can make a stronger argument for Frankenstein than you ever could. Like I said, because Easter's coming up and it's all happy originals OG zombie day. I'm like, stop it. Resurrected means no longer dead. Once again alive. And if you're already alive, you are not a zombie. Stop that. But yeah, that's a good dude, that's a really good question. Frankenstein's monster. So yeah, he's all right. So Spidey says no, Frankenstein is created artificial human. So I guess I could see where she's coming from, because all the parts were dead at one point. But I would slide slightly as not zombies, simple because of the assembly part of it. It's a close one though. Wow. I thought so. It's not the best zombie movie because it doesn't rely most of, in my opinion, on the zombie aspects of more as it does human relations. But it was decent. Blood and Honey is coming out for 3 days. Check your theaters, your local theaters. The 26th, 27th, and 28th, as far as I know. I will be there. I will have somebody dressed up in a Pooh Blood and Honey mask, and we will be handing out posters and stuff. Right at the Galaxy Boulevard Mall. So if you're in Vegas, come visit me and get a free poster. Return of the Living Dead is actually one of the better zombie movies ever made, to be honest with you. I mean, let's look up what year was Return? Was Return in 84, 85? Let's see. And in fact, I think Return of the Living Dead, to be honest with you, out of the entire genre, might be the best. Well, not the best, but might be up there with the later age ones. And I'm talking about the original one because they got kind of crazy with the sequels and stuff. But the good thing about Return of the Living Dead was that, I mean, hey, you can watch it on Pluto, by the way. Let's see. Return of the Living Dead was released in, I believe this was 1985, August, because they celebrate. I actually saw this in the movie theaters. Yeah, Return of the Living Dead, I think, is one of the better ones. The sequels got increasingly bad after the original, but Return of the Living Dead, and a lot of these people still are doing anything. Man, a lot of these people are pretty much Leanne Quigley as Trash. You guys remember her scene? That's a very infamous graveyard scene there. But yeah, Return of the Living Dead, I would definitely put up there. Next question: can there be such thing as zombie vampires? No. I mean, the undead that makes them a vampire would preclude them being an uncontrollable undead. And I mean, a zombie is an animated corpse for the most part without sentience. Like when you look at most zombie movies, they just have basic instinct. I mean, I don't think usually science is what animates a zombie, whereas magic is what creates a vampire. And like we were discussing a couple of weeks ago about the werewolf thing, it all depends on if the magic was stronger than the science, but one would win out. It would either be in my opinion, this is my opinion, it would either be a zombie or a vampire. But if it's sentient, it would most likely it would be just as undead as a zombie. But the difference is a vampire's body would not decay as long as it got blood. So, who's excited for Iron Man 2? I was 10 years ago. Fusion, hold on, what's going on? Okay, you guys are talking about something else. Hold on. You guys are doing something in the Discord. Oh, by the way, if you guys want to join us for afterwards, and like I said, I promised I will be more and more in the Discord server. I just been really busy, and like I said, I'm dealing with a lease issue that I got a big meeting for in the morning. Yeah, that is in the link. All right, so Dawn of the Dead, which version? The 2004 version or the 1979 version? Because they're both pretty good for their own reasons. Yeah, cue the Michael Jackson. That was a big thing for zombies. So, like I said, we discussed the werewolf aspect of it last week, but zombies was the majority. The zombies are in the movie more than the vampire. The vampire opens, not the vampire. The werewolf opens it up, but he's literally turning in and out of the zombie, which is probably, even to this day, we're talking like 40 some odd years later, still one of the most epic dance sequences, ever. And it was decades ahead of its time. What they did with I think it was I think everybody who was anybody worked on those dance sequences, and you just didn't realize just how talented all those people were until you saw the behind the scenes. right, let's see. Yeah. Anytime you have a movie where the zombie is fighting a shark, that's you can't beat that. How you doing, Dark Knight? The Romero's 80s zombie movies with Tom Savini's prosthetics, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. Yeah, those are good. Trying to pull all those up. Let's see, Day of the Dead. What year was Day of the Dead? 1985 was a good. You had two big ones coming out. So Day of the Dead, that's George Romero, and this is the reason why one of the reasons I like Day of the Dead so much is because, like I said, George Romero didn't get to make a lot of money off of Night of the Living Dead. It went into public domain, and there was a whole bunch of issues with it. So this was him being able to make money basically off of his creation. So, yeah, this was back when a blockbuster was 34 million. They made that movie for 3.5 million. It made 34 million. That's the kind of things that get you, an extra couple of zeros to your name. Let's see. 10 outdated writers. I seen one Italian movie that took place in a gym, or was that demon movie called Demon? Dude, that sounds like a lot of Italian movies you just described. Let me find out what the fuck Brad is. Hold on. All right. So, Larry, how you doing, Larry? Snowman of Blow. Nah, I was trying to say blood. But yeah, that sounds like Scarface. Where's the yayo? Shaun of the Dead is an amazing zombie filming. I'm sure Ruth would have watched that movie. Yeah, that's what Simon Pegg in it. Zombie Ash and Army of Darkness. Yeah, that was a pretty good one. I have that action figure. Army of Darkness technically is a zombie movie. Now, their undead were associated with spells and magic, whereas most zombie movies, it's radiation, the satellite, like in Night of the Living Dead, it was a satellite that, landed and infected the rain and radiation and all that kind of stuff, or, some type of nuclear waste. Some type of incident generally causes majority of zombies to happen, but Night of the Living, not Night of the Living Dead, but Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness were generally, propagated by zombies that were magic based, and you don't see as many of those as you do the radioactive something, something crashing, something, and a lot of times it'll be on it'll be like a social issue. We're destroying the environment. Talking zombies are creepy as fuck. Yeah, especially during the Cold War. Dude, a lot of these movies came out in the 70s and 80s because everybody was afraid of the nuclear threat and what a nuclear war or nuclear waste would have on society. So a lot of these movies from that era were directly tied to that fear. Cold War, besides generating terror that we were all going to get vaporized by each other's nuclear weapons, the Cold War was a good source for horror. If you look at a lot of horror in general, the alien invasion, anything like that, shape-shifting aliens, the fact that Russian spies and all that, we couldn't trust each other. That's what the thing is about. The Cold War gave us that, that basis of just about every horror movie or every science fiction movie of for like a 30-year period, man. It was we were living in terror, but at the same time, we were having fun. Snyder's Dawn of the Dead is up there as one of the best remakes of zombie movies. Yep. Dear God, William, do you at least like Shaun of the Dead? I like it. I don't love it. I like the fact that it is, over the top violence and gore, which is all I could ask for. It's not up there with my favorite zombie movies. I like it, but like I said, don't love it, like it. Good point. Let's see. Shaun is Dead isn't great. It's been about 7 or 8 years since I've seen it too. They need to make a zombie movie during the time of Jesus, but why? He's not a zombie. Stop this. Zombie Jesus is landscaper. No, he's not. Listen, I will ban all of you. He was resurrected. He's no longer dead. He is no longer an animated corpse. He's according, like I said, no matter how religious you are, if the scriptures, that's what resurrected. That's literally the whole point of Easter. Not animated. It's not animated zombie day. He's resurrected. Stop it. We have rules. How you doing, Azteca? What's going on, man? Reanimator was animated. See, when you're resurrected, you're resuscitated to the point of that you were before death. So if you die like in Reanimator and you're just animated, or if you're altered in a way, because of the way you were bought back, or you're no longer of your right, then that's pretty much just animated. And then there are certain levels of intelligence animated, depending on who's writing the zombie movie or who's writing the horror movie or science fiction movies. But the technical term of as it goes back to Mythos, resurrected means brought back from the dead. Brought back from the dead to full life. That's the difference between reanimating something and resurrecting something. So if you were to die and I were to, bring you back to life, like the Grandmaster does in comics, and I bring you back to what you were prior to you dying, that's resurrection. You are not a zombie. You are not animated. So that's how I see it, the difference. Zombieland. Actually, Zombieland is actually a pretty cool movie. It's actually a pretty underrated zombie movie. And Zombieland 2, by the way. Double Tap. Once again, it's okay. I don't think it's really, it's not, up there in the top tier. I didn't hate it though. I forgot the circumstances that I saw it under, but I remember not hating it. So there you go. The new Walking Dead ones, Who Live, is the best. Yeah. By the time Walking Dead came out as a comic, I was already tired of zombies. I definitely didn't like. I stuck with Walking Dead as long as I could, and it just bored me. It's coming in hot with the zombie head scratchers. All right, let's see. Hello, Mighty Rex. Fred can say hi to you. Return of the Living Dead. Talk about subverting expectations. Everything they learned in Night of the Living Dead doesn't work. Yeah, there's a lot of misalignment, is what I like to call that one, where you just pretty much are, it still works for me as one of the better zombie movies ever made. I think enough of it works to where it's still top tier zombie movie for me. That's just me though. I had stopped watching Walking Dead before Trump became a thing. So let's see. Here's a fun one. Mummies would be considered zombies as well, right? Or would they be getting into zombie categories? They would be considered undead because they are dead, but it's their soul. Technically, what a mummy is the soul of the dead person. The soul is intact, but the body is not. Whereas a zombie, there's no soul. It's just an animated corpse. So that would be a thin line, I guess. I figured there's different types of ghosts, so that maybe there's different types of zombies. Well, there is, but here's the definition. If depending on what your definition of a zombie, if your definition of a zombie is just an animated corpse, no matter what regard, what animates it, and what makes it what it is, then technically just about anything you can make anything a zombie. But if it's the dead, like technically, if it's dead and it's animated by magic or a soul, then it's really, it's technically just it's undead, but it's not necessarily a zombie. Zombie is also the state of mind of the being that is animated as well. like in the American Werewolf London, his friend that's undead that's haunting him is not necessarily a zombie because he's still sentient. So I guess it would be depending on it depends on what your definition of a zombie is. So let me see what it is. Let me look up zombie. See what the definition of a zombie is. I probably should have done this coming in, but I really. All right, zombie, Italian, French, zombie, Creole is a mythological undead corporeal revenant created through the reanimation of a corpse. In modern popular culture, zombies are most commonly found in horror and fantasy genre works. The term comes from the Haitian folklore, in which a zombie is a dead body reanimated through various methods. Most commonly magical practice in religions like voodoo. Modern media depictions of the reanimated dead often do not involve magic, but rather science fictional methods such as carriers, fungi, radiation, mental diseases, vectors, pathogens, parasites, scientific actions, etc. The English word zombie was recorded. Okay, let's see. Its origins, a new version of the zombie, distinct that what is described in Haitian folklore emerged in popular culture during the latter half of the 20th century, basically the 60s. The interpretation of the zombie as an undead person that attacks and eats the flesh of living people is drawn largely from George A. Romero's film Night of the Living Dead, which was partially inspired by Richard Matheson's I Am Legend, the OG. The word zombie is not used in Night of the Living Dead, but was applied later by fans following the release of such zombie films like Dawn of the Dead, The Return of the Living Dead, the latter of which introduced the concept of zombies who eat brains, as well as Michael Jackson's music video Thriller, 1983, the genre waned for some years. So there you go. And there's like a whole list of things, like Plan 9 from Outer Space, Tor. He's a resurrected dead, but he's resurrected, by scientific means. So there you go. A little bit. I like certain issues of it. I love the covers. The covers for Deceased were beautiful. I loved when Deceased was coming in because they did the way they did the covers was like, really cool, good seller. It started out as a great Resident Evil started out as great. It's one of those things, in my opinion, with Resident Evil that just went on a little bit longer than it maybe should have. That's just my opinion. Yep, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. And like I said, if the tip link is tied to the top of the chat, if you want to buy me a frap or 2 or 3. Let's see. Land of the Dead is another great Romero movie. I love the way he was making zombies get smarter. Yeah. Even though in those movies, even though he made them smarter, they were still running on basic rudimentary instinct, but they were just using their instincts a little bit more than just shambling and walking around and, just saying brains or some shit like that. So. If you want to take a look at a great animated zombie movie, you should all check out Paranorman. Okay. Question. Let's get into some slasher characters. Are they reanimated corpse or reincarnations of their former selves? Depending on who we're talking about. Obviously, with Jason, it's gotten ridiculous because he's clearly dead. But he's not a zombie. He's actually cognizant. He's actually everything that he was in life, except physically. And whether he's a reanimated corpse, it's up to debate on whether he ever really died in the first place or how long. But he definitely retains everything that Jason is the first time you ever see him. He is when you see him over and over again. His body is in its various forms of decay, but he still maintains the cognizance that he did when you first saw him in Friday the 13th Part 2. He's not lost. He's in full control of whatever, faculties. his methodologies, and he evolves. So I don't know if I would call him I don't know what I would call him, but at the same time, I the fact that he evolves, because Jason's not using the same methods as he is when you first see him. He evolves, he adapts, he learns. He's able to do things that a zombie or an undead would not do. So I don't know what. Now Michael Myers is different because his is just basically supernatural. He never really dies. So it all depends on who's writing it, I guess. Once again, the fact that he retains everything, he moves, and his body never decays to the point where, he heals enough to the point where he can still carry out his function. So I don't know if I would call Jason a zombie, but once again, that's a good question. I like Evil Dead 1 of the original trilogy. Well, remember when they made Evil Dead 2, they basically had to redo the movie because they couldn't get the rights and everything to use footage from Evil Dead. So, well, shit, I lived on an Air Force base, man. We just lived through it. Like I said, one of Norton Air Force Base, every base in America was a target for a Soviet nuke. So, let's see. Yeah, Train to Busan was really good. If you guys, I think that's on Netflix. That's a Korean zombie movie. Man, that movie is intense. It's intense. It's intense, and it's heartbreaking too because you get attached to certain people, and it's a lot. It's a lot about sacrifice. I won't spoil it to you, but I think they're making a remake. They're making a remake or a sequel. I don't know if you can remake Train to Busan. It was just a really good movie. It's one of the best zombie movies pretty much made. And the premise is great too. So yeah, Train to Busan is definitely up there. Was it Crazy? It's a different kind of zombie movie from George Romero. Don't recall. Hi, Bev. It's going all right. It's about to wrap this up. This is going to be, like I said, this is going to be a tight hour and a half show, if that long, because I got important stuff going on in the morning earlier than usual. So is zombie calling for send in more? Oh yeah, send more cops. that was a great line from that movie. My next question is, how is Beetlejuice a literal scintillating rotting corpse but a ghost at the same time? Because he's supernatural. Would he not look as he did and originally died if he was just a ghost? But remember, he can control a lot of his appearance. Not every ghost is at the same level. Like, obviously, the couple in there, they're dead as well, and they can't. There are certain things that they can't do that he can. So there's just certain levels, of paranormal and supernatural that he has. He could probably, I'm guessing, that Beetlejuice, if he needed to, can make himself look like anything he wanted to. He just chooses that appearances because that's the effect he desires. He gets he gets the reaction out of people from that appearance. But yeah, he could probably, just like they are, just like Gina Davis and I can't remember his name, just like their characters are look like they did when they died. He's a much more powerful ghost. I'm assuming that he could, if he wanted to. He just doesn't want to. He likes scaring people. Yeah, never forget the Rhea and Bell show that day. Had me run into my TV to unplug it. If you know, you know. Don't get me started on Jesus. No, we were talking about, because Easter's coming up, and a lot of people, they'll be on my feed everywhere. Happy original zombie day. And I'm like, he's not a zombie. Stop it. All right. This horror shit has rules. Daniel being fancast and everything now. Will he be written? No, probably not. No, he's a ghost. He's a ghost. He's just a very, very powerful ghost. I mean, like I said, they're all ghosts in that movie. It's just that he's at a different level than they are. Obviously, he's been a ghost longer too. So, no, he's not. He's not. Restored to full life. That eliminates the. He's not a zombie. Stop it. Oh yeah. Actually, say his name 3 times. We should do a Candyman special. I hope they make another Candyman movie because I really enjoyed that last one. Jesus Sanchez. No, wrong. Resurrected. Let's see. Mm-hmm. No, Jesus is helping you stop a zombie invasion. He started because his resurrection went wrong. Evil Dead or possessions. Yeah, but those that are possessed are quite dead. But yeah, you could. That's supernatural. So here you go. Who remembers that one time Family Guy? I don't watch the show. Made fun of Passion of the Christ Part 2 with Chris Tucker. I've never seen it. I've seen sorry guys, I've probably seen about maybe 40 minutes total in my life of Family Guy. And most of that was the Star Wars thing. Me and my husband were talking about how awesome it would be if Zack Snyder did a biblical piece. Oh man, can you imagine the uproar over that? I mean, he can't even take a picture of a turkey in a graphic novel and post it without it going. Could you imagine that people would be coming after him with pitchforks? But that would be cool. And if you were going to do it, Ray is right. But Horseman, the Book of Revelations is, if you read it, it's kind of a horror story. It's really some deep shit in there. Moses in live action. What's going on? Well, why are you doing this again for the second night? Where the hell is Brad? Do we need to bring forth on again? What do you think, William? Chat? Nah, it's I'm trying to keep a tight show tonight. With it's hard enough without him because he knows how to run the chat. But I gotta wrap this up sooner than later. Where is he? This is the second night in a row. He must not be feeling well, but he was hacking. World War Z was kind of underwhelming. These zombie takes, right? We'll be here all night. But hold on here. Fine. I'm going to end the show when I need to end the show, though, because I got to eat and sleep. But we'll just put it in there. Not everybody's getting in, by the way, because we only have, like I said, I don't want the show to spiral out of control. All right. I can't believe they're still going on with The Walking Dead. Me either. I just wasn't. I'm just not a fan of it. But, a lot of people are. How you doing, Music Man? I don't know. I've never seen that anywhere, but it could be true. What was the first zombie or zombie film, William? Well, the first zombie movie is widely, as far as zombie themes, is widely to believe be Night of the Living Dead. Hold on, let's see. First zombie movie. White Zombie. Bela Lugosi. Ah, damn. I can't. Oh, wow, dude. We didn't even bring that up. A small but not insignificant number of films of teen 20s. The distinction of being the first zombie movie is usually awarded to Victor Halpern's 1932 opus White Zombie. Oh, yeah. That's a Bela Lugosi movie, too. So there you go. Here's the answer to your question. All right, let's see. Plan 9 was in 59. And like I said, Tor and there were zombies in that movie because they were literally in a graveyard when those aliens resurrected them. They were at funerals when they did that. So yeah, technically, and they were pretty mindless. So yeah, they count. Let's see. Maybe Brad's boycotting because all the trauma we put him through with a scary movie. No, I just think he's asleep. Let's see. Hunted down by Chinese hopping zombies. Now they have these dumb spinoffs. Yeah, there's a lot of them. I haven't watched any of the spinoffs. What? Okay. Are you talking about, like I said, Jason and Michael Myers? Clarify for me there, Ray. Hold on. That's I like I said, I gave my answer, but I don't know if that. Pretty sure this question has been asked before. All right, the creature. This is just an opinion. The creature from Frankenstein by Mary Shelley is an intelligent being, despite being brought to life by questionable actions of the protagonist. His mind is human-like. He is not a zombie, as he consists of body parts of multiple sources and has an identity. And some people would say it's a golem of sorts. So there you go. But once again, that's just an opinion. All of Us Are Dead is very good. I think Freddy is a ghost. Well, Freddy, yeah, he's an entity. He's at an abstract now that he's dead. Let's see. Some of these ones you're bringing up, Black Summer, I have not seen. Yeah, okay. Talk about these dudes. I'll stick with the original look that Burton did when Batman Returns. Spidey, how do you kill a zombie? The traps can be a giant hole in the ground to contain them, maybe. Or like in Game of Thrones, where they just had them running in spikes. Fire. It depends on who's writing the story. A lot of times, fire will kill a zombie because obviously it disintegrates it. But decapitating will kill a zombie depending on who's writing. Shooting him in the head, like in Night of the Living Dead. Because basically, on a scientific term of what a zombie is, even though it has no mind per se, it still has it's whatever rose it from the dead, whatever radiation or whatever is using the basic motor functions and basic primitive functions of a human mind, just without the soul there. So, but destroying the brain will have the same effect of killing a normal human being because you're destroying it to a degree it can no longer send signals to the body like an inanimated body. So. I would say no. I would just say they were reanimations. I didn't know the rule of zombie would be coming up as much tonight. Yeah, Brad's on his way. Just got a message from him. Oh yeah, he clearly doesn't give a fuck. I mean, you saw that in his interview the other day when he just doesn't care about the backlash. Nor should he or any other director. Just make your movies, man. I put the link in the chat, dude. So if you want to come on, Brad's on his way. Let's see. Stopped watching The Walking Dead years ago. So did I. I just I came back with the one episode where Negan was in there beating the hell out of Abraham and Glenn, but other than that, let's see. Yep, House of the Dead. Oh, okay, cool. All right, gotcha. Let's see. He's on his way. I'm down. Let's see. All right, we've reached. I don't know where this is coming from. But... All right, so see. Wow, it's relative Western decline. See a lot of foreign. The modern conception of the zombie owes itself almost entirely to George A. Romero's 1968 Night of the Living Dead. In his films, Romero bred the zombie with vampire, and what he got was a hybrid vigor of ghoulish plague monster. This entailed an apocalyptic vision of monsters that have come to be known as Romero zombies. Let's see what a Romero zombie is. Oops, somebody in my chat. Oops, hold on. I gotta make sure I'm not ignoring chat here. Okay, thank you guys for reposting the live link in the to the Discord server. I got to get better at that. I will. I promise. I will. All right. All right, the kids in the audience, for example, Romero's reinvention of zombies is notable in terms of its thematics. He used zombies not just for their own sake, but as a vehicle to criticize real-world social scares that 1968. Remember where the country was at, and he had a black guy. He basically had one of the first black stars in a horror movie. So. See, yeah, there's a lot of foreign movie subtext, but like I said, it all goes back. So basically, George Romero is the godfather of zombies. Wow.
Yeah, sorry guys, it's like these. Just getting over being sick these last few days. I just, I got into bed like pretty early last night, and I just slept through the show, and it's kind of the same thing happened tonight. So yeah.
Are you feeling up to it? You feeling better?
Yeah, I'm feeling better. It's just that I just threw myself out of my usual loop these last couple of days.
Okay. All right. Well, let's bring on this asshole. Hey, what's up, Spidey?
What's going on?
He even changed his avatar to the Marvel Zombie Amazing Fantasy cover. That's hilarious.
Brad, you played a hell of a show last night. I don't know how you said you were just tired, but you were firing on all cylinders last night during the show. Great job.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, obviously Fourth came in and imitated you, which was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Let's see what the audience thinks of you. He had that laugh down too. It was hilarious.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm feeling better than I was these last couple of days. It's just that, like I said, it's like I was crashing earlier than usual as I was recovering, so it's like that threw me a little bit into that loop these last couple of days. So that's kind of where I ended up last night and a little bit earlier tonight.
Plus, keep in mind he's there's a 3-hour time difference between us, so so for him to be up and about this time of night where he's at, it's kind of it's admirable. So. But I completely understood you not being there last night because, like I said, there are certain nights that it's like, But then, like I said, talking to my geekdom is my therapy. It's my elixir. It makes me feel better. So there you go.
Yeah, no, and of course, my cover is blown here.
Yeah, we're going to have a bunch of mystery people that we'll never know. We'll never know who the Banes are, all this other crazy stuff.
Oh, no, we're going to find out who Bane is one of these days. I will figure that out.
Oh, I know who Bane is, dude.
Oh, really? Who's that?
Yeah, he's a dude that was born in the Santa Prisca prison. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, well, that narrows it down.
Serve out his father's crimes, so he had to live in the prison since birth.
I even hate the Bane origin story. It's as stupid as the character is. But anyway.
So, William, Marvel Zombies or DC's? Which one would you say is better?
They're both about even. To be honest with you, the premise is roughly the same. I think
I think it was cool that once Galactus got turned into a zombie, it got really cool on Marvel Zombies.
Yeah, and they used that to cross over into to things
into Ultimate Marvel.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. I really do like. I mean, I like the way DC started out.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first round of Deceased was really good. Then it just kind of got
They have a second Deceased and they have a DC Vampires.
Yeah, the DC Vampires sucked. I didn't like
It
DC
did?
Vampires. I didn't like it. I didn't like it, but that's just somebody else might read it and love it. I thought DC Vampires sucked. The first Deceased were really good, and the covers of the first Deceased were really good. Because they were facsimiles, kind of like what Marvel Zombies did for a while, but the DC ones, in my opinion, were better.
This is Amazing Fantasy 15 right here, dude.
Yeah. But if what, dude? Do we have the
Brad? In the meantime, you got any favorite zombies?
You mean
like movies or iterations, types?
Yeah, iterate. I guess Night. Yeah. No, that was my intro. Definitely was Night of the Living Dead.
Try indeed, Forrest. Try indeed.
I think everybody. See some of the covers from Deceased. I think they're stunning. The Pennywise one with Robin was my favorite. These ones right here, like that one right there. Is it bringing up? Is it coming up? I just love these covers from this run.
Azteca's shout out Dark Knight's Metal, and then also they have the Deceased variant of the Batman Who Laughs down there.
Yep,
at the bottom.
I have that. That was actually on my wall for a while. It's the one. There's that one that was right there, the bottom right there. That was on my wall. You guys couldn't see it because it was to the right, but I had that on the wall. I sold it the other day.
The Joker barely looks like a zombie on his. He just looks like some of his makeup's coming off only.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's cool.
If you look closer to him, you'll see his mouth.
You'll see his flesh is ripped off. I know, but it's just like yeah.
I mean, I just love these. I just love those covers from them. And then, like I said, Marvel Zombies did a good job with it. Marvel Zombies is probably the more successful of the ones, though. So
it came out like 10 years earlier, right?
Yeah. And it was kind of groundbreaking. It came out at a time when all the zombie movies were just starting to hit their.
It's got a cool way of starting out. Like the Avengers thought they could stop him. Wolverine thought he was going to be okay. None of that shit worked. None of their ideas worked at all. That shit was a shit show as soon as it started.
Yeah. It got like you knew you were in something else that you didn't need to really be tying to anything else because everybody was going to get fucking whacked in this one. So. All right, well, we're done with the zombie talk. Any other things coming up? Anybody want to
ask? Well, apparently the Batman's not coming up soon.
Yeah, you missed my conspiracy.
I have less and less confidence that it'll be a trilogy, and that just was like another blow to it. I hope for a trilogy, but is this movie ever? Are these ideas ever going to be put to?
I think you have, like I said before, I think you have a better shot of the Batman trilogy than you do of James Gunn's DC Universe is going through it.
Are we still getting Penguin this year?
Yeah, Penguin, and you're gonna get your Batman movies. It's just that he decided. I was kind of shocked that he wasn't writing during this strike period because some people were. But apparently his methodology was he wasn't working on it during the strike because James Gunn was working on shit during the strike. James Gunn as soon as the strike was over, bam, he had that shit ready.
Yeah, he's ready to roll.
Script. So
he also knew what he was up against. Gunn he knew more eyes were on him than anybody else because he just got the new position and the strike came up right in the middle of the summer before Comic-Con, right? So I mean if you're in Gunn shoes and you don't have something on the other end of the strike done, then you're looking like you're just going to get judged more harshly, right? So,
yeah. And plus, technically, they're both writers. I mean, they're both part of the WGA, but they're directors, and he's an executive. So I guess this Gunn could, as an executive, as part of the studio, could write it without really being, hurting the, hurting the strike and the solidarity of the union. Whereas Matt Reeves is legit part of those unions, and he just probably figured, But like I said, we're gonna run into a lot of things that that are going to get hurt by that strike that we don't really realize at the moment because everybody's scheduling is a different thing. So we're okay, yeah, the strike is over, but how much did it push? I mean, 6 months on a shoot, on a set is a lot, half the year. I mean, how many movies can you shoot a year? So, if you got bumped and another movie was up next, then that movie may leapfrog it. So it's a legitimate reasons. I thought the conspiracy theories yesterday to where it was like, what's up?
Oh, I was just going to say, Worth and Daniel are kind of bringing up some things kind of related to this in the chat. Worth's talking about the Arkham Asylum show. That was supposed to kind of get released, and then Daniel was talking about
that's now become a DCU
having
show.
a long period of time to write the first Batman movie. So,
like I said, I think with Reeves Batman, a new owner coming in probably won't mess around with that because it's finite. It's 3. It's more than likely just the 3 connected to the shows, and that's it. I don't think Reeves would do anything beyond 3.
So last I heard about the Arkham Asylum, William and Brad, was that somehow that was going to be dual, right? And then I was thinking about something else earlier today. James Gunn drops the name Legacy for Superman, right, and keeps it simply Superman, right?
Yeah.
What's to stop the Brave and the Bold from dropping its name and just dropping the concept of the Brave and the Bold? And it's easier for WB. Not that I necessarily want it or not want it, but they already have a Batman movie. It seems like they're cutting corners and canceling shit and tightening things down. They could literally have a movie called The Batman and Superman, and they already have their simplicity names right now.
But if once again, Reeves would walk immediately if you even remotely.
But then that goes back to the Arkham Asylum bit, which last we heard, and I'm sorry I got off that point, was that they were supposed to be both of the universes, right? It was supposed to be
I heard that the Arkham Asylum is going to be exclusively DCU. That's a project that he's working with under Gunn. That's not his.
So that won't be connected to the Batman.
No. From what I understand, that the Batman is the Batman. The shows that are connected to the Batman are connected to the Batman. Arkham Asylum will now be a DC or God, whatever it was originally will be under him, which means he will be working under James Gunn, and that will be part of his universe. That universe will probably more than likely be connected to the Brave and the Bold Batman.
So then this kind of goes into what we were talking about yesterday. When we were talking about grounded and what we thought was grounded and not grounded. Do you think that the Penguin show is going to bridge a era of time, and then we're going to get a 3 to 5 year time skip where Bruce is more grown? I mean, in real life, it's already
from what I understand, the Penguin show takes place right after the Batman.
Okay,
because he's taking over, he's filling in the gap for the mob boss that got killed in the movie.
Falcone.
Yeah, so he's taking up, and then that's how it kind of happened in the comics where there was people.
I tell you, I don't see it as this is. I'm not trying to get in that disagreement with you, but that's how I look at the movie. I look at the movie as it's the fall of the mob and the rise of the supervillains, and that comes with the rise of Batman, and that's why I don't think it's not grounded and it's more fantastical, because we're about to see all the stakes raised. Because we had a super villain henchman fight at the end while the city was getting flooded. That's like way out of the realm of grounded.
Yeah, but it's a superhero that could be that super villain. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's a difference between
Batman still his. I mean, like you look at his armor, and then like I said, you're also looking at the fact that it's henchman time. I mean, like somebody in the chat was posting yesterday, it was kind of like a modernized, darker version of a 66 fight scene.
But you're not going to see, a Green Lantern come down. You're not going to see an alien come down.
I can see that for now, but I don't
see that at all. I don't see that under his.
No, universe. I said concede. I said I'll concede what you're saying, but when I first saw the movie and I didn't realize we're going to have a writer's strike and COVID was going to push it back, so we're looking at the first movie. In my mind, I was thinking it would be cool to start year 2, then jump to year 5 through year 7, and then go to that level above where he would be right at the cusp of being in the Justice League. So whether or not they ever did anything with that, you would see that we're dealing with the high level Batman by the time we got to the end of the trilogy. I really enjoyed
that. You'll get that, but I don't think he will ever cross that edge. I think he could get to the level where that's the Batman he would eventually, if it were the time. I don't think you're going to see any of those characters in Matt Reeves' universe. I think all of his characters are going to be within the Batman universe, and they're going to be versions of them, just like the Riddler was. Instead of seeing a crazy fool with a bunch of fucking question marks all over himself and a crazy bow tie and a cane.
I think that because they did the good thing and they didn't kill the villain off. I think we see Dano's Riddler come back. Maybe not as ridiculous as like Frank Gorshin, but we still might see a more streamlined, for lack of a better word, Riddler that lines up with more of the notions of what a supervillain might look like in our, instead of the Zodiac.
That's why I don't, and I hope that he doesn't, because I think that's what appeals to his movie.
That's why I want to see the time skip so we can see Batman at a higher and higher level, so it becomes routine, so we can see the progress of the supervillains as well and see how they settle.
I think the progress of the supervillains will still go along consistently with what he set out.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they progress, like I said, a Mr. Freeze is not going to be a crazy fool with a blue face and a fishbowl over his head.
Why not? The city flooded. Batman's damn near impervious to bullets, and he smashed his head on a fucking bridge, dude. So why can't Mr. Freeze? I mean, he doesn't. Again, we don't have to. Doesn't have to look like Mr. Freeze from the cartoon. You know, I like the old shit, but I'm all about progress and doing new things, right? So I'd be open to whatever. Like I feel like we did the grounded thing with Nolan, and I think that's something that Reeves is kind of aware of as well, right?
Reeves did right. Reeves did better.
Reeves did right, but he did comic book accurate. Like that's why it's right. Like Batman is playing the role. Whether you can argue how the story went or whatever, but Batman's playing the role of a detective.
If you read comics, so you know, okay, so there are grounded Batman stories in the comics that do not cross a certain line, and then there's other Batman comics that do. The Matt Reeves Batman is the one, you know, that you would find in a DC Black.
Then there's those things like Grant Morrison's Batman and Robin, where it's riding the line. Or even Detective Comics when New 52 starts by Tomasi, where it's very grounded, but then there'll be some fantastical shit going on, whether it's Killer Croc or dealing with the League and whatever artifact that's going on with that situation. You know,
with 3 movies, I just don't think he's going to get.
That's why I say do time skips, because then you don't got to sit there and build. You know, we don't need to. We know. I hate this argument, so I'm kind of contradicting myself. But we know what happens in Batman's life, right? So if we do these time skips, we can see his relationship with Alfred as it gets older, and Bruce plays the dual identity better, and the relationship with the police and Gordon is more established, because Gordon was just a lieutenant. So I don't want to see him get the promotion. I want to see him once he's had the promotion and he's been doing it for a while. Like I'd like to see I don't want to just pick up. I mean, the Penguin's doing that, and I want to see the Penguin be the guy that runs the guns in the Iceberg Lounge and one of the mob bosses, but I want to see how he's already interacting with the new set, because we saw the old mob. Now, the new mob is the supervillain mob, right? That's the Gotham City criminal psychopath mob, right? So I would like to just...
Supervillain, I just don't think you're going to see an exaggerated villain. I think you're going to see villains, but not...
You say that, but they put Colin Farrell in the prosthetics, and he looks like
he still looked like a normal guy.
He looks like a guy, but he also resembles the Penguin from the comics, right?
Yeah, like he didn't have like a really super sharp nose, and he didn't have the antics.
Right, but there's not like wind up versions that where he's a little more, you know,
he wasn't the Danny DeVito, whatever the fuck.
No, but that's every comic iteration. Like even Earth 1 Batman, right? Like his nose is big, but it's not comically big, right? When he's the mayor,
I just get the sense that if he stayed, let's put it this way: if he stays consistent with what he has set out, there's no reason for me to believe that he would branch out and go exotic. I think I think all that you'll see some of these people, no matter whether it's a time jump or not, I think you'll see these characters, but they will be practical characters. They will be practically done. Like I said, Ice Truck Killer type of situation but yeah, you can add some technology to it that is real world technology. But like I said, we're not going to see, the ridiculousness of that.
I mean, the Riddler killed somebody with a painter's tool while he was taping his face up as a. Yeah. I see what you mean. So it's they were using mail bombs and things like that. I understand.
Clayface is not going to be the glob of the T-1000 looking type of night. He's most likely going to be one of the first ones that is a master of disguise and uses modern technology to do what he does, so that he's believable. Because I think that's what the strength. This is my favorite thing about the Matt Reeves movies is everybody is believable. Gotham could be the world around you. When I pick up a comic book, or when I see the Zack Snyder stuff, I hope I never have some of that shit happening around me. I mean, because just the battle between Zod and Superman, I don't want to be in that fucking city. Because you're dead. But yeah, so it works. It works, but I think it works if Matt Reeves thing stays Matt Reeves thing. But I do want a fantastical Batman. That's why when people tell me, well, you can only have one Batman at a time, and people are like, we don't want to water it down. I'm like, listen, for everybody who liked the Batman, there's a bunch of people who are going to want to see Batman do his legendary, he wants that penguin that has the wind up penguin. He wants the Joker that electrocutes you with, the fish or something like that. So there's
you talking about the joy buzzer that kills?
Yeah.
The fish.
Remember the one cover that Brian Boland did? Oh, it was beautiful. Where it's the Joker and the whole cover is him leaning back and it's this fish that he has on this, what are those, accordion thing?
No, I never seen that.
Yeah, and the fish is spitting the gas. And it's the Joker laughing like this, and he has this coming out of his chest, and it's a fish that's and then there's another cover of a variant cover of it where he has that same accordion thing, and it's a gun, and he's already shot a guy. Now that kind of Joker you probably wouldn't see in Matt Reeves' universe, or or even in Nolan's universe for that matter, even though his was wild and he had gimmicks and shit. But there's room for that kind of fantastical, and I'm okay with if James Gunn does that with his Brave and the Bold or whatever. I think the Brave and the Bold name will be dropped, by the way, by the time you get.
There's a lot of good chatter going on about what people's opinions of the Batman are too here in the chat. Kind of the last.
I mean, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't concerned about it though, with this whole getting bumped back, and just we got yet another merger, and yeah, it's like I mean, there's obviously, I'm sure you guys have seen, there are people speculating, this is not going to, because that mindset of we can't confuse our audience or we can't compete with ourselves. That
once again,
I expressed last night
that will never ever apply to Batman. That will never apply to Batman.
Well, I don't disagree. I'm just saying, but apparently WB disagrees.
No, okay. Once again, like I said before, when they tried to apply it to Superman and it was stupid then, I even said at the same exact time, they will never, ever apply that to Batman. Never. It will never happen. And that's not why this movie is getting delayed. So it's really not them doing it. But it's one thing to do it with a character that's not your top breadwinner. All right, you can actually, you can make it whatever excuse you want to not do, if you don't want to continue on with Superman, you can blame it on James Gunn's universe, and that's fine. It's stupid then. It becomes cataclysmically stupid when you try to apply it to Batman when every version of Batman out there makes money. So yeah, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, like what in this company's recent history is not, has implied that they are not capable of cataclysmic stupidity.
They don't garner a lot of confidence, right? That's kind of what I was saying about the Batman thing earlier. Is like Zaslav seems like he would just say fuck it, just make the Batman and Superman and see where we go from there.
Well, no, he won't do that because he's too greedy.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing: conspiracy always loses to greed.
I'm not conspiring. It just
I'm just saying,
seems to be cutting shit left and right, and cutting corners.
Where we don't have the actual facts. Remember what I said? Seeps into those spaces. Bullshit. Greed defeats conspiracy. All right, and when you start looking at the type of money and volume that they want to make with these superhero movies, they're not going to cut one right now. And then his successors definitely probably not going to do that because they need content. Warner Brothers desperately needs content. It may happen differently, but by the time that any of this happens, you have a better shot at, like I said, the Batman trilogy. And like I said, if Warner Brothers gets a new owner, do you think I don't think the Batman gets canceled at all because it's a finite thing, and it's a finite thing that makes them money. Like I said, greed kills bullshit, and it disinfects conspiracy theories. Now, the other things maybe because now you're talking about a sprawling 10-year plan that may not be their plan. Even if these things are successful, it may not save this thing from happening. What do I always say? New sheriff brings his own deputy. He brings the deputy that he's been talking about when they purchased this thing, not the guy that's already there. He trusts the guy sitting in the co-pilot seat with him. This other guy, great. You had success. It's a new company now, and I'm bringing my guy in. So you have, like I said, you have a better shot at the DCU not going to completion than you do of Matt Reeves' Batman. Matt Reeves' Batman's not having because he made a decision not to work on it during the strike, like James Gunn.
Addison will be 40 years old when the movie releases.
Yeah, he'll be almost the same age Ben Affleck was when he started.
Yeah, but we're talking about people who don't age like us, so he could probably play the entire trilogy.
Ben played a 20year in Batman. Yeah.
Look at Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield is older. Andrew Garfield is years older than Pattinson, and he's not aging. So these people, like I said, go look at J-Lo right now. See what it looks like to be 52, 53. This is not going to happen, but no. Let's see. All right, so go ahead, Brad, if you want to pick up some questions that I was running the chat.
How crazy is this new documentary series coming out called Qui-Gon Set that's exposing that? Yeah, about that guy, Dan Snyder, he was in like one of the in the '90s, one of the big execs and writers and producers at Nickelodeon, and of course was on Good Burger, and all that, a whole bunch of other things. Where he apparently, the guy was kind of a royal asshole behind the scenes.
That's probably about as much as we're going to cover it, because I know I was so disconnected from Nickelodeon in the '90s. I don't even know who this guy is. that's where I was like, I was like, who is he?
Says that's not Good Burger because of him.
Yeah,
Dan Snyder's not Good Burger.
Yeah, by the time the '90s came around, I was a Nickelodeon kid in the '80s, but by the time the '90s came around, I had moved on from it, so I don't know who this guy is.
Yeah, I think it doesn't seem. I mean, they definitely need to be malleable especially with another merger on the way.
Yeah, it's good. It's going to have to be, because, like I said, even if James Gunn comes into place, once you have a new boss, you may have a new directive. Maybe he says he wants more of this than you had planned, and you know what, James is going to have to make a decision. Okay, does this work for me? Now, just remember, guys, when you're talking about certain people, we're not talking about the Hamada regime anymore, because they weren't qualified to run businesses. Whatever you want to think about David Zaslav, and we think a lot about David Zaslav one way or another, he is infinitely more qualified to run a business than they were. And it doesn't look like it at times, because he inherited a heaping, steaming pile of shit that he stepped into by his own, accord. But when you're talking about the current, greed is going to win out. They're not going to not make the Batman for those reasons. Now, if Superman, be honest with you, if Superman was their top breadwinner, they wouldn't be applying that stupidity to Superman. But because Superman without Batman incoming or Batman there is a tough sell to the modern. We've discussed this, but those rules are not going to apply to Batman. They're probably not. The decision to delay it is more than likely his, because he wasn't working on the script.
I tend to agree with you on that, because, like you say, as big as Batman is, that's the one thing they're not going to do is shelve any of the Batman movies like they did Batgirl, simply because of the popularity. Like, if everything else around it crumbles or whatever, they know Batman's going to make them some kind of money, or it's going to be at least a shoe-in, right? So.
Yeah, and Batman's one of those things you could stagger. You could have, because Matt Reeves' Batman, I don't know when a date. Not Matt Reeves, but James Gunn's Batman is what. We don't
at this rate, it might come out before Matt Reeves' second Batman movie. Shit.
but once again, and then if you get a new owner and they're like, we got our own plan because we've been thinking about this, and now you may never get. You never know. You just never know.
Daniel asked if we feel they should start the universe with a Batman movie. I feel like Superman's a good place to start if you're going to start something new at DC. Superman's a pretty good baseline.
I say I say they should have started with a Batman movie to get the universe.
Why you say that?
Because right now, if you look, you had to have. I would need to know where Brave and the Bold was. If Brave and the Bold 3, 4, 5 years later, then no, you needed to start with Batman first, in my opinion. But I could see why he would start with Superman. Everybody who wants, even
well, there's that, and then it sounds like Batman is going to be having his kids in the Bat family, right? So if that's the case, then we're established for a while. So maybe, like I keep thinking, this DCU Gods and Monsters is more of an anthology than a universe as we've seen previously.
True, and I don't have enough info to even refute that. So that could be very, very possible.
Because you could play that up as Batman story is down the line, but you have Corn Sweat still because Superman doesn't really age quickly, right? So you could, you know what I mean? You could have the more grizzled Batman with the family after you've done the Corn Sweat movie, and then maybe not even be a time skip, or whether or not it's a time skip doesn't matter. It's just a different story at a different time, right? Like like a literal anthology, right? That's what I think that's going to be. I don't know.
I think that hurts Superman.
That's what's going to happen.
I think that hurts Superman because I think Superman is much more marketable when he's in the arena with Batman, and I mean, it just makes him. And like
No,
I said,
I'm not saying that's not the case. I might even think that they'll have Superman in the Brave and the Bold. I just think that you have Superman.
When
in
does the Brave and
story
Bold come out, though?
I don't probably, but like I said, as jokingly, but seriously, probably
that's a problem.
too.
That's a problem because I just think that to me, if I were creating a universe, as soon as you can get Batman and Superman standing side by side, fucking immediately, you do it, because not only does it make the movie more marketable and it's going to make it more money, but that contrast between the two actually tells a better story than them apart, especially when in Superman's case. That's why The Dark Knight Returns is good. That's why Batman vs Superman is so good. You know.
Do you think he's really gonna make it the JLI, or do you think he's just fuck? Do you think that it's gonna be something different? We're expecting one thing, but we may get something different.
I don't have enough.
All signs point to the JLI right now, right?
Yeah,
JLI versus the Authority,
but
that might be the thing that turns on the ear since everybody's expecting it.
And like Nicotina was saying when we had him on a month ago or so, he was making maybe. We get these. We're at a point where we have this new era of JLI, but it's they're just fucking up, and now we need the return of the JLA. We need, and that's how you introduce.
Maybe.
Yeah,
because then that kind of goes into the whole Grant Morrison of it all, right? Because he does reference All-Star Superman, he does reference the later Batman and Robin, he does reference JLA even. And that's the big Grant Morrison storyline in the late '90s, right? So
yeah, one of them, like I said, but he's bringing in characters that just give me fucking.
I know. I know.
Maybe
Hawk Girl will be cool, and she'll do shit she'll be badass, like the Hawkman was on the Black
Metamorpho. I mean, what the fuck?
But it's Metamorpho's. I get it. He does suck, but his powers are cool, right? They're theoretically cool, right?
As soon as I see Crimson Fox, I'm done. All right, next one, Brad.
Let's see. Dan Schneider is Harvey Weinstein. Yeah, it sounds like it.
Apparently, like I said, I did not know who the guy was until you guys brought him up on the show. As soon as I hear Nickelodeon, the last time I relevantly thought of Nickelodeon is when they do their football games, because I think they do a great job with that. That is so fucking cool what they do during the NFL playoff games. But
by the way, Zach's interview with Rogan is still making the rounds. I'm seeing because I just saw Dan Slott and Grant Morrison both kind of weigh on it. Grant Morrison, he tends to be more diplomatic on these things, but Dan Slott's he's kind of a prick, to be perfectly honest.
I saw Phil going back and forth with him, but yeah, I mean, and they got opinions. I mean, they listen. Over the weekend and how we discuss this thing, a lot of it is going to come down to your perception. But I have, like I said, one of these days I will do a stream on it about where I think this, like I said, where I think it comes from, but it's for the most part, it comes from an era that, that I think has caused a lot of problems now that we're in an era where people want to go back to what the core Batman value that Bob Kane and Finger and all the people who developed them and then came back, because Batman always comes home. It might take a while, but when Batman is being right is when Batman comes home. That's why when you read the Black Label stuff, that's Batman coming home to the core values of what Batman is. That's why when you read certain writers, when they do detective and they just strip everything down and he's the detective, and that's when Batman is at his best. Now, at the same time, you have to straddle reality here, because you do want Batman, to be intertwined with this world, with the Justice League and everything else. But you also have to understand when you're doing the Batman that's in the Justice League, that's a different Batman, because his interactions change him. When he's in his book, his interactions with these things still have happened, but he references them. They don't. It's not in motion. So, but like I said, I am always going to, and it's probably going to be my most hated stream, because one of these days I'm going after Batman the Animated Series. So,
hey,
fuck you.
I told you, I'm going to destroy you in that shit, dude. Because you just
get out of your system now.
You have such a stubborn mindset about it. It's like you mock the show for being childish, but come on, man, you're like
no. Here's the problem, bro. It's not the show. I'm gonna put a banner. Set us banners on the bottom of the screen. I'm gonna put the banner down there and said, I don't hate your little show. I don't hate it.
But then you call it a little show, though. I get it. I don't hate it.
Just like I don't hate Crisis of Infinite Earth. I hate its influence. This is why we have this soft core. Batman doesn't kill. What the fuck
William,
is that?
William, we toss it 6 episodes on that. I'll curate them. We'll have Brad on here with the Wikipedia up, and he'll break it all down to you how on point it is.
That's fine. We might even agree of the quality of the show is never my issue. We could watch the whole thing. It wouldn't matter. It's not the show itself. It's the influence, because the way that show was handled, there was a generation, like I said, that was sitting in front of the TV with their sippy cups.
Listen,
and that nice and safe. We won't hurt anybody.
Somebody influenced me to go to the comic shop and argue with the guy at the stand when I was younger. So like, I feel like that's kind of like that's the baton was right there for you to grab. You know what I mean?
It was dropped. We can go through the.
They even made a comic of the show, so I mean, they gave you the entry point right there.
Beating the hell out of people and having people put each other in harm's way. We have rapists, we have killers, we have serial killers. Everything is going to be okay, kids.
I get you, because I'm not one of these people that thinks like the comics are bad because they have bad content and I'm all for it. I'm all for it. There's even good in the Adam West. There's good things even in the Adam West Batman. You know what I'm saying? Not everything's bad. There's a reason that the
it's not bad. But here's the thing, though. I watched all this stuff, right? But once again, the same reason why, as a grown man, I'm not wearing underoos right now, because I'm a grown man. I don't bring the stuff that was sanitized.
And you might not, but we even in the modern time with the Zack Snyder iteration and even the Bale iteration of the Batman, you have people in their underoos right now who maybe never even seen that cartoon that whine about Batman shouldn't do this or Batman shouldn't do that as they're watching Batman.
Where does that come from? Because I was around when.
But then that shows you right there, because some of those motherfuckers never saw the show to begin with, or the cartoon show to begin with. And they still are like that.
They're heavily influenced by that notion, And like I said, how many people say, "Oh, the definitive Batman is that fucking cartoon"? I'm like, "Oh no, it's not. The definitive Batman is Batman."
I think that when you hear people say the definitive Batman, I think that what they're really pointing out is the voice, the characterization that the guy that played him and kind of the characterization they give him is the Batman. In their opinion, that's definitive. But I think again it depends on what time we're in. Batman is definitively Bruce Wayne's parents got killed and he chose to be the Batman, and where we go from there is. No.
There's a lot more to it before.
Well, you get trained. You have to deal with the crime in Gotham City. You have to have the dual personality. But how we go through that story, right? That changes iteration by iteration, and it's generally interesting.
It varies off the path from iteration, but like I said, it always, when you're successful with it, it always comes home. All right, the more, like I said, that's why the Batman is great. Even if you don't like Pattinson's portrayal of it, the Batman, him crushing that bull's skull, that's the Batman. Like, and I just showed you the first panel of Detective Comics 27. He's an asshole. Oh, that's a fitting ending for that type. That's who he was.
He threw a dude out of the plane. I get it. He's no
joke. But that's Batman. There are certain things that make you what you are, and when you divert from that thing, you're creating something that's not what it is. You know what I mean? It's like, whether that was a great TV show or not. Now, when the influence starts seeping into the direction of the character and the perception of the character, that's a problem. But like I said, that's not tonight's topic. We're gonna do a whole. And I'm waiting. I can already feel the hate coming. We haven't even scheduled it yet. I'm ready for it.
In the meantime, Mighty Rex has got a stinger for you right there. Azteca might be taking sides, and earlier on, Antonio and I guess it was Daniel were bringing some decent points up that related to what we were talking about.
They got the City as their big IP.
That the Spider-Man kind of the pointing out that the Batman villains are popular enough to do what Sony's trying to do with Spider-Man. I think that was Rax and Antonio were bringing that up.
Yeah,
I think I don't think it's going to work though. I think eventually, for the same reasons that Sony.
Our case study will be the Penguin show, right? We'll find out soon.
No, your case study would need to be more than one or two shows. Like
you got the Joker, and then you got the Penguin show, right? Boom.
Well, as far as you also had, like I said, you also had a phenomenon when it came to the Joker. A lot of that was we promoted that movie. A lot of that was curiosity.
Well, a lot of that. See if the curiosity sticks, because the new one's coming out. And it's supposed to be a whole different a whole different type of movie, right? So
yeah, I don't think the Sony Center thing is comparable to what because you have the Batman.
I don't think that's what Antonio stated, and I think that he's saying that DC would stand to gain more than Sony is because Batman's villains are more relevant, and that's a long standing argument that I've always had with DC. Everybody in Gotham City, most people can't name you 4 Superman villains.
That's true. You'll never know because they started with the Batman. See, this thing that they're doing with Sony with their I don't know what the fuck that is.
Well, I think it's just because that's really the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2. They try to introduce the Sinister Six, and I believe at that time the plan was to make a Sinister Six movie or lead up to a Sinister Six type of movie, and it obviously never really. I mean, I guess No Way Home is the closest Sinister Six movie we got, right, Brad?
Yeah.
It's like a multiversal Sinister Six deal going on.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, it was 6 if you count the little Venom cameo at the end.
Yeah.
I think I might have missed this in the interview. One of the guy in that Final Canvas Rogan interview, Zach wanted the woman to be nude in front of the kid. I think that was something.
Oh, he's talking about Watchmen, the scene with his son. He wanted the Rorschach's mom to be topless. She was like a prostitute, so he wanted to make it more. He's just talking that Zach shit, like wouldn't it be wild if we did it this way, kind of thing, So.
Well, he's not going to film that like in front of a 10-year-old.
Although there are movies that have done worse. There's a movie called The Girl Next Door.
Yeah,
not the one with the blonde from Alicia Cuthbert, but there's a story. It's a movie. It was released in 2007. There's no boundaries in that movie when it comes there. It's a true story or a semi-true story about a girl that gets tortured, and it's all done in the presence of 10, 12-year-olds. And here's the thing.
Excuse me.
When it comes to telling your story, if you're doing a movie that implies or has certain things in it, I don't think you do your story any good by cutting corners just to make people feel more comfortable. If like I said, that movie was very disturbing to watch. Like I said, they're literally torturing a girl and doing awful things to her, all in the presence of 10-year-olds. But here's the thing, though: if you don't do that, you have what I call the Freddy Krueger syndrome, which is it is implied that Freddy Krueger has done more than just killed kids.
Yeah.
Right. And here we are, we're laughing and we're joking and we're, he's funny. He's killing people in different various ways. And we're just clapping. We're like, go Freddy, get him. But, and the reason why we're able to do that, because he was never really portrayed as what he was in that way. So if you were going to tell a story about the BTK killer, you would not be able to tell that story without some of the disturbing elements that make him what he is. Otherwise, you can't tell that story. You're handicapping yourself. So when it comes to nudity and violence and things like that, if you're telling, but here's the thing though, there are movies that were, Hollywood has done it. And there are shoot tricks and stuff like that. But you're also talking about actors and actresses too. It's
because I saw something like this floating around the timeline today, where some guy was saying Zach wanted to film child porn.
That's different. But like I said, it's all There have been, like I said, he wouldn't have been the first, not child porn. And guys, stop doing stupid shit like that. Attaching child porn and pedo to everything because you run out of brain cells.
You're talking to the outside. Nobody in your chat talks like that, man.
Yeah, and I'm most likely going to be.
Your fans don't talk like that. They're a little more adult.
Yeah.
Drogo wants to know who the BTK killer is. I guess you can enlighten all of us, right?
Bind, torture, kill. But to keep that up, but to answer Forth's question real quick, yeah, there's ways you can do it. But I think more people would be afraid of the presence in the story at all. You see what I mean? So, like I said, if you watch the movie Girl Next Door, all those kids, and you see what happens to that girl, what they do to that girl, those kids are there. They're there because the director made a decision that shoot tricks wasn't how he wanted to tell a story. you know. And yeah, it's disturbing, and yeah, it's uncomfortable, but that's what they were going for. So you know, it's this is not anything new. Approval of it or not is not one thing. I to be honest with you, it would make me feel uncomfortable, but at the same time, it's not new. I mean, you know, we've been shooting movies this way for quite a while. BTK Killer is Dennis Lynn Rader. He is he took the moniker BTK because that's what he did to his victim. He bound them, he tortured them, and he killed them. Usually by suffocation or asphyxiation, and he got a sexual high off of doing that. He was a really sick fuck, and he ended up, you know, being stupid towards the end because he didn't realize how modern technology worked in the 2000s. He killed an entire family for his first kills. An entire family, the Otero family. He killed them. He killed all of them, except for the kids that were not at home. Now, he did something that's very graphic, and he took a 9-year-old girl down to the basement and hung her while he gratified himself while watching her suffocate. And he did other things too. I can understand people not, like, if you were going to tell that story, especially with the graphic nature and the actual details, which we will not go into on the show. I can understand you not wanting to tell that story because that's just like, but if it's almost, to me, it's like proving a case in court. As a director and a movie maker, you're wanting to compel me to be in there with you. You're trying to make your point why I should hate this guy, why I want this guy to just die pins and needles in a certain way. And a lot of times, like with the Freddy Krueger thing, we know he killed children. We know he probably did worse things to children, but because they never articulated it in any way that made it, we're just laughing along with them in the audience. So if you're going to tell a story and you're going to make your case to the audience that you were supposed to have the feeling that you were supposed to be compelled to just want this guy to burn alive, then at some point you have to make your case, and that might not be a comfortable case. But that's up to the artist and up to the director, and it's up to the consumer, you know. But it's just like I said. But like I said, you could do a movie about, like I said, Mindhunters was doing. That's BTK.
What Rax was saying. He thinks they should finish what they started on that.
Oh, definitely. Oh my God. You knew we were going somewhere with BTK, but we were going to get to the point of BTK to where it's graphic. He kills Nancy Leon, I think. So I'm sorry that I know this much about serial killers. Huh. He kills her while he has her kids locked in the bathroom. And the way it happens is described by the oldest son, who's peeking through the top of the door, because I guess there was a little window error. He could see what was happening to his mother. If you are filming a scene, he's in that scene. And what's happening to her is not okay. But how do you make the decision? See, this is not a statement. This is a question. If I am to have my blood boil to the point where I'm in the movie and I'm being compelled the way a movie maker wants you, how do I make these disturbing scenes without doing certain things? You know what I mean? It's a tough one. I guess it's going to be.
As you asked that question, Forth has a few contrarian points or contrarian opinions to what you're saying that culminate into his most recent comment here. But go
ahead and pull them up, Brad, if you want to, because I don't know where they're.
What, you mean this last one here?
I guess the last two or three comments, he kind of bridging the two conversations that we were going from.
William, it's not about story comments, how you feel really. You can make Darth Vader, but I don't care. But yeah, Nader getting nude in front of a kid for a scene is wrong.
Well, that's a weird context. That's a weird context. That's a little bit of an extreme exaggeration of the actual context. So that would be wrong, but that's not necessarily, what was being described. So you can take the premise and exaggerate it and make it to anything you want, and then you can make it into something that would be wrong. But that's not a really good example for it. Like, bring this other one up.
I guess rolling up a little bit more.
Yeah, that's fine. But here's the thing, though. Once you put that in front of the audience, it's still going to be what it is. So your difference is you don't want them being in the presence of while it's going on, even though there have been plenty of movies that do it. And once again, not condoning or whatever. But the depiction is still going to be there, and the depiction is just as uncomfortable because even if you green screen the kid, the end scene is still going to be what it is.
It looks like Rax and Daniel Martin are kind of clarifying the context.
Go ahead and bring
it was his son, and I think topless was the extent of it, not fully nude.
Fourth has a response to what you were saying, I believe.
And also, you guys got to remember, context is everything on this. Context is king with all this kind of stuff. So you can't throw out really wild examples because it doesn't necessarily relate to what's going on, sort of, Because, like I said, the description he put out was wild. That's something that just, no, you wouldn't do that, period.
Yeah, exactly. I think people are kind of like taking Zach kind of speaking euphemistically too and kind of running with it.
Yeah, you got to be careful there because that's a runaway train.
That's kind of where I was with it. I think it was more Zach likes to kind of go over different scenarios and things in his head, or that he had in his head at the time. I think he knows they wouldn't have let that go in the movie. So, I don't know. It's never filmed that way, right? So,
and what in his history makes you think he would like just full blown do that?
Yeah, it's like
I think they're going more off of his commentary than his history, and I just like we were saying earlier, people are ready to kind of when he's going to say something, they're going to come at him. So that's one of the things.
As we saw.
Well, here Fourth has his opinion on the context as well. So.
I mean, do we need to pull up the audio of it?
Not really. I'm tired of that fucking interview.
Well, I mean, what are your thoughts on it, Brad? What are your if people come at or what are your thoughts on if you're from the not say the critic standpoint, but the criticism itself? Does that make sense? We've heard what Zach said. We know the context of what he said, but just like respond to the people in the chat here. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, again, I think they're kind of taking that, that and like extrapolating it into it's like he wanted to just film a fully like how's the best way to put this? Because again, like
it's kind of touchy. I understand, but
going back and listening to the comment itself, it's like it's kind of getting turned into something that it really wasn't. But also,
I want to be real careful here because, like I said, just because I'm expressing a question about how movies have been shot and done with or without green screen doesn't mean I'm on.
It's like I think he was just gonna like have it's like, oh, wouldn't this be crazy if we did that? But it's like, but no, it's like when the rubber met the road, it's like no, he would have like used whatever techniques he had to keep the kid and the naked woman separate. I feel like because I think people are.
Oh yeah, it's just,
I think people are like think. Yeah. I think
the methodology. I'm sorry. The methodology is so how you shoot it is that's that's stagecraft,
and it's relevant anyway because I mean he made the movie.
The movie we got is the movie we got, right? Yeah.
And also, with this thing is the way we're like, oh, it's like we're defending like.
No, that's what I'm worried about this show because assholes will clip it out and be like, "Oh, no, watch the whole fucking show."
And that's why when I saw Fort's, that's when I saw Fort's first comment. I was like, "Should I bring this up or not?" Because it's like I know it's gonna take us down a rabbit hole.
I mean, like I said, it's depending on what you're doing, and like I said, there've been movies where, like I said, the one I just described to you was
now,
a very
this last comment that I mean, and I don't want to overlook Daniel and Chappie have some really relevant things to say too. But Fourth, he actually, he said it. These days you can do the green screen and the prosthetic and the whole nine. So I mean, it's kind of all been answered, right? I don't think he was ever in,
I don't think he would have ever done it that way.
Yeah. So
yeah.
But yeah, Chappie and Daniel, you know, that's the whole thing. He talks and people are gonna have opinions because he's a notable person. You know, I think there's more controversial figures that have done worse, and he's talking about ideas. So I guess that's kind of my opinion on it.
Yeah, it's like when it comes to movies, it's like I say, nudity is a touchy subject no matter what, because there's there's people who use it just to use it, and then there's context of the story. Now the whole kid thing is not even on board. I'm not even I didn't even go any further with that, even though like I said, like that movie I just mentioned went places to where movies have gone before, but the director of The Accused, starring Jodie Foster, had a decision to make of how intense that scene was and how far he wanted to drive that point home. And he made a decision that went for his movie. That's an uncomfortable scene to watch. But once again, if you're telling a story, at what point do you hold back as far as telling your story?
I mean, that's the whole idea behind the art form itself, right?
Yeah, it's like now when it comes to some of the exaggerated and crazy shit, like I said, whether you condone it or not, or on board or not, that's not even relevant. The fact that in Hollywood, it's been part of Hollywood for years. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of movies out there that you wouldn't believe, where things were shot and they weren't using green screen and stagecraft. And it was just part of what Hollywood did. So, how did we even get on that fucking topic?
Oh, so the fourth draft, and I pulled it up.
So you drop a comment that blows up my chat, and then you exaggerate the point to where it's like really uncomfortable to even talk about.
But I think he was just trying to have a nuanced conversation because there's a lot of context in what he was bringing up. You see what I'm saying? I think he was pointing out what he kind of doesn't approve of, but he also was pointing out the full extent of what Zach was saying. So
I wish there was a way when people were to watch any point that you were forced to watch the whole conversation, because now, like I said, it just depending on what part you come into this conversation.
Well, hey, if you're on the replay, and be sure to check out the chat that's going on in the replay, and you can kind of see how the response is going, see kind of where William and Brad and myself are catching on to what Fourth is saying.
Listen to everything we're saying.
Don't not necessarily a bashing session or anything like that, or trying to weird people out.
Well, and I don't want people to take it out of context. William and Brad are on board.
Just film discussion. So
I'm like, no.
It's an interview by a filmmaker, and it's one of the topics of the discussion. So, it's relevant. It's relevant in that context. I don't think,
Yeah. But like I said, that the one movie I'm bringing up is a point. Like I said, it's one of the most disturbing movies I've seen in a long time.
I mean, honestly, it's like I think probably it's like I think Zach was probably also just kind of fucking around with Rogan a bit too.
Yeah, and that's what it was. Remember that controversial nude scene from the movie Birth with a nude Nicole Kidman in the bathtub, and her reincarnated husband of the child gets in the tub with her. I mean, if you're watching closely enough, this is, it's nothing. It's not new. It's not. It's the kind of things aren't new, and they're not.
Yeah, but I think it's just more astounding or odd when you're hearing about it in a comic book movie. Because even the fact that Dr. Manhattan was walking around with his dick hanging out.
Exactly. By the way,
controversial thing. So Zach's a controversial director, and he has ideas that are out there.
The comic was
when he's reflecting on the film and the works that he's done, he always pulls out these hypothetical situations, and he's like Brad was just saying, wouldn't it be crazy? Wouldn't it be crazy? By the way, Bradley's in the chat. Hell of a time to come in, Bradley. Hell of a time to come in.
Sorry. Yeah,
and now Fourth actually has a counter question to you, as always, William. And I think it's
I don't know I didn't bring that movie up though. I've never seen that movie, so I don't know how.
What's Birth? By the way,
I think he's just asking. He's posing the question. So how did they do that compared to whatever? I don't think it was green screen. Fourth. I don't think the Nicole Kidman low budget movie was a big green screen affair.
You wouldn't be able to watch Game of Thrones sometimes with some of the stuff that they do in the present. Oof.
Yeah, but I don't think there's any. To be fair, right? In the spirit of fairness, there's no scenes where there's any children around nude adults in Game of Thrones. So, as far as I can remember,
I
guess when Bran walks in on Cersei and Jaime Lannister, but you don't see him looking at them in the same room. I mean, you see the kid's face on one shot, and then the next shot is them in the bed together. And I don't even think they were naked.
And then you see Bran, so they're in the same shot, but it's
Bran looking you see Bran looking in the window to Jaime's ass. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he gets up and pulls his pants up and says the things I do for love, and he shoves his, which is that scene.
I think that goes back to Forrest's question: how did they shoot that? I bet that you see it one way, but it was shot differently. I don't think that. I don't know. Hey,
me either.
It was probably filmed in Europe, so maybe there's different rules out there as well. So who knows? There you go. This is how these rabbit holes work, man.
yeah. There you go. I don't know. Mario Van Peebles' dad included them in scenes that did cross the line. Yeah.
We're
not watching the clip. We are not watching any clips.
Melvin Van Peebles' son, Mario, the actor, Mighty Rex is bringing that up.
Who I first saw in Solo. Remember that movie Solo from '96, where he plays the robot soldier or the cyborg soldier?
I vaguely remember not seeing that movie.
I've seen the trailers, and Adrian Brody is asking to pick a face, and he sees a Michael Jordan commercial, and he goes, "Like Mike."
That sounds horrible. That sounds like a dreadful movie.
Have you ever seen Posse with Mario Van Peebles and Billy Zane's the bad guy?
No, I haven't.
90s movie.
Okay, you got a question? You just type it, man.
Yeah, Chappie's been asking a few questions, and he's been we just been missing him in between the cracks because the conversation's been rotating so
fast. Go ahead, Chappie. Ask your question because we're about to wrap it up. We're at 2 hours.
I think he asked a question about the Red Sonja actress. What's her name?
Bridget Nielsen.
Bridget Nielsen. Yeah.
All right. So let's see. Okay. Yeah, I think that took a weird turn.
Yeah.
You all right, William?
Yeah, I'm just like.
We almost got back to zombies. There was a little second in there where it was about to be full circle, but then we went on this tangent.
Yeah, like I said, and it's. I mean, everybody wants to see kids.
Leslie Nielsen, the actor, yes, Drogo, yeah.
I mean, and kids aren't even allowed to shoot without their parents on set anyway. So,
who's vice president? Jerry Lewis.
I'm gonna ban Leslie Nielsen's name from the chat. Sorry.
That's the third Venom is going to be called Venom: The Last Dance.
Yeah. So do you think that Tom Hardy will make his way to the MCU, or do you think that little piece of the symbiote costume is the thing, or do you think that's just a little cut teaser kind of thing?
I don't know. That's a tough one. Yeah,
it could make its way around by the time Secret Wars starts. I mean, I know it's not going to be the comic book.
I don't even know if Secret Wars is going to even happen the way.
Hey, you're telling me, man. It seems like Marvel went from mighty to where are they at now, right?
Well, they abandoned most of the multiverse storytelling, and that's what Secret Wars was. So,
what's the next Marvel movie as we're at the actual next MCU Marvel movie is Deadpool, right? So, beyond that, what's the next movie?
I don't know.
Yeah,
for me, that's the next.
I've been hearing
one.
About Blade for about 7 years now, so I don't know if that's going to be next after Deadpool, but
Who knows, man? Like I said, I am now getting to the point where I'm not burnt out at comic book movies. I'm burnt out at talking about them in ways that make up for them actually coming out.
Like start talking about start doubling up on your turning point stories then.
Because, like I said, comic book movies in general, there's nothing happening.
Do comparisons. Do a comic comparison to the movie, like do Civil War versus Civil War, or Infinity War versus Infinity War. Do something like that, so people kind of see, how to appreciate the movies that they already have out better. That's a great way for you to sell comics, right there, dude.
Yeah, we could probably experiment with all that.
I mean, this show is a commercial too, right? Your other viewers who might be in Las Vegas.
I hope they don't watch this one.
Why not? They're hey man,
creepy. This show got creepy. First turned the show creepy.
Blame Forth, huh?
Yeah, hashtag blame Forth. There you go.
See, Brad, you might be free from one of
your there we go. We're gonna have to have that as all our hashtags. Blame Forth. All right, guys, that's about it. This has been one of the creepier shows. But it was thought-provoking. It was thought-provoking. I mean, once again, the opinions and the questions we bring up are not necessarily condoning anything. Obviously, all of us don't want anything creepy happening to kids, but at the same time, we're late on that because, like I said, you can find movies where scenes that are shot are just like, what? You did that? And you never heard of these things being an issue, and whether they are or not. Once again, my point is being that you could probably just go ahead and Google and find some pretty disturbing things that you may or may not agree with. That's all.
Today started with Williams Bane, and now the true Bane is now in the chat. Also, Clint wants to know how many views did last Saturday garner. He's curious about he's got the big questions.
Dude, you turned my show into some crazy Maury Povich shit, and you want me to stay on for another hour? What the fuck? Then you even have enough
How do we do Maury Povich? We're having a nuanced conversation about cape shit, guys. Like that's
How many views did that one pick?
What's going on, Bane?
Oh, we need to get rid of Bane out of the chat there.
Droga says Leslie Nielsen should have played Commissioner Gordon. If they did like a '66 remake kind of movie, that would be pretty. That would have been pretty cool to see something like that, right?
359 views. Wow, how the fuck did that happen?
People. I guess people like the performance, Brad. Keep it up.
Yeah,
2 more movies, and maybe more.
59 people watched that, and then.
Hey, Bane, you want to jump on and have a chat with William?
We do.
You got an open invite. You don't want to talk to Bane?
Letting him in.
You want to find out who Bane is?
464 for Scary Movie 2, which was just absolutely fucking insane, and then 214 for the original one. So it's after the first one, people are like, "Ooh," But hey, you know what? Where are we at on our charity?
Like Daniel says, Brad, you're almost home. You're almost home free.
Yeah, I'm almost home free.
We're all looking for a way out. We're still at 8,250.
Are you sure that's the best colloquialism to use in suicide awareness campaign?
It wasn't up on the screen. All right. Well, yeah, I'm hungry, and I got a big day tomorrow. So there's 41 of you.
Is offering to be a backup for you, Brad.
No. Do you imagine if he'd have been here live? That would have been a fucking weird disaster. All right.
How did you like it, Brad? Did you end up watching it? Did you see it?
I haven't seen what?
Last night's episode of the Sci-Fi Center.
Oh yeah, that was pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, I went back and followed it, so it was pretty. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys. Oh, strange show. It was like the Hunter S. Thompson episode of the show. Apparently, the back shit crazy. All right, so how do I segue into this? Just if you're feeling bad, 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, 24/7 call, text, chat. There's somebody on the other end that helps. A lot of the stuff we do, the scary movie stuff that we put ourselves through, is for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And like I said, we are at 8,250. Hopefully we make a little bit more ground this weekend than we did last weekend. Kind of like fell flat a little bit, but hey, what times are tough. So whatever you can give, and even if you cannot, even if you can't donate yourself, do us a favor and share it to somebody else. A lot of it's come from people sharing it to other people who could. So we are, it is 3/14. It is March 14th, 2024. So we got just over a month left to get to 10,000, and I think we could do it. We're real close. So
Clint I don't know what kind of up, and Brad Fourth wants a rating out of 10. He wants the opinion. Wants real.
-8.
Tangible numbers. -8, Fourth.
Yeah.
Got to work on it.
All right, guys, that's it. Brad, where can they find you? I don't care where they can find Spidey.
You guys
try, man. That's try as hell, dude.
You can find me on Twitter and there. You can find me here and there on Facebook. You can, of course, check all my great writing out there. And, of course, you can find me here on the Sci-Fi Center prepping for the next scary movie.
Dude, at least there's only 5. There you go.
Yeah.
There's
there's that reboot, right? Didn't Ruth say there was a reboot coming out?
Yeah, well, there is. I'm not watching it.
All right, not for free. All right, guys, that's it. We will see you tomorrow or later on the day or whatever the hell is going on this weekend. And bye.
All right.
There, guys. Bye.